Hello boys, girls and those in between. Very excited to bring to you today a review of the Muthos Homura Prominence MH-001. This is a very special knife and it is from Japan. It was shipped to me directly from Muthos Homura from Japan. Now, it's no secret that Japanese know how to make blades. They're pretty much probably the best place for cutting tools. They have arguably the best carpentry, and we all know the katanas and the wakizashis and tantos, so they are renowned for cutting tools and blades. This knife I requested with G10 handles, and you see that I have installed the G10 handles, but the basic version comes with these wooden scales, and unless it's like a wood whittling or carving knife, if it is to be used for batoning and for hard tasks, I always avoid wooden scales. I've had a few crack on me. Sometimes wood can crack even while in storage. It reacts differently than man-made materials. It reacts to humidity and just all kinds of factors. Even though it may look very appealing and pleasant, etc., for hard-use knives, which this is a hard-use knife, I try to avoid wooden scales. Now, the only time that I'm okay with them is if they have a at least 1.5 or 2 millimeter G10 liner. If that is the case and they need to be epoxied onto that G10, in that case the G10 kind of holds the wood together and takes much of the strain from hard use. So I'm kind of okay, but with impacts to the wood will just crack and deform, get damaged, etc. So long story short, I took the wooden scales off immediately when I got it and put on the G10 scales. That is an optional accessory for the Prominence on their website. To my surprise, the G10 version is actually half the price roughly and is about $50. And they also have fiberglass reinforced plastic, which I believe they do with 3D printing. And they have white and black. The black is painted and the white is unpainted. The white one costs about $85, and the black one is about $100 just for the scales. Again, fiberglass reinforced plastic. I'm not sure that that is a better or stronger material than this. Maybe lighter, sure, but I don't think it is stronger than G10. Long story short, G10 is what I requested. We see that it does have a combined grind, meaning one side is different from the other. They're calling this a straight side. This is, I guess, Japanese translated terminology, but the West calls this a saber grind, or in this case, a high saber grind. This is about 1/4. The grind starts from about 3/4 or 1/4, depending on whether you're a glass half full or half empty person. And the other side is a convex, but it's not a full convex. The convexing starts at a similar position somewhere here. Again, 1/4 or 3/4 of the blade is convexed. And it is a true convex all the way down. You do not get the false edge, etc., secondary edge, which I very much appreciate. I do prefer this configuration rather than what many manufacturers do, is they'll convex it and then do a secondary edge. I don't like that because it kind of loses the attraction of a true convex. The blade stock on the knife is rather sizable for the overall length and proportions. It is 5.6 millimeters, or in inches, that is 0.23 inches. Now, before we get into the details of the blade, let me quickly get this out of the way. So first thing, in the envelope, we receive a thank you card. So what is this? Natural tanned leather. So talking about the sheath. And then you get a very nice metal membership card for Muthos Homura, and that is my membership number. The knife comes in this wooden box. And then aside we have a leather sheath. So let's discuss the leather sheath. It is real genuine leather. Looks like it is a full grain. Double stitching here, and we have 2 loop overs, but this is actually a single leather piece that kind of wraps around. So that is one piece pinned in here, and the way we lock the knife is it goes in and you do this first, and then the second loops over like that. So even if you have this undone, the knife will not come out. It is a very snug fit. What I did here was I applied some water and put this under my foam press that I use for Kydex sheaths, because when it came to me, it was very rounded. Like there was a huge loop over here, which I didn't like aesthetically or wasn't very practical because it was bulging out. So I made this section flat. It is not a dangler sheath, and I do like my sheaths to have that function. Like in this case, you can wear it high up on the waist, or you can have it dangling if you're in the car, moving around, sitting, standing up, etc. That is helpful. Anything else on the sheath I can say is that it is clearly quality, well made. We do have a drainage hole, as you can see, a tiny draining hole, and the sheath also has a loop for fire steel, and it takes an XL size. I guess this is regarded as an XL size, and this would be a regular size of fire steel. So the way I use it is I'll put the fire steel in, loop it over, and also what that helps me with is when I unbuckle, I'm able to put that out of the way from the blade. And that's important because quite a few makers have this just kind of dangling in the way, and every time you extract and put the knife back in, you're cutting away on the leather. So the leather strap is in those cases temporary. Okay, so we discussed the box and the leather sheath. Now let's talk about the knife. The knife did really surprise me in a pleasant way. I was fearing that this could be a gimmick thing. The way I approach my reviews is, if I'm interested in a product, I first watch other reviewers talk about it, use it, see what their feedback is. Of course, I also research from their own website, etc. Then I decide whether to get it or not, or to request the product for review or not. The reviews on the Prominence MH-001 were outstanding. People were raving about its capabilities, and so I decided to give it a shot, and I was pleasantly surprised. All my expectations were met. This knife, long story short, is a beast at wood splitting, batoning. It is very nice at feather sticking as well, if you're into that kind of thing. But it's a good fire maker. Has a very sharp spine all the way through on both sides. You will see my outdoor use videos where I'm starting a fire with it, doing feather sticks. And one quick thing. The knife, as you can see here, has an exposed section of the bolster, if you could call it that. Muthos Homura does offer, as I've already mentioned, several variations. They actually even have a fancy, the wooden scales come with fancy finishing on it, with some carvings, etc. That is obviously for a higher price. And they have this in 3 colors: white, bronze, and black. All of them are 3D printed plastic, and they even tell you on the website not to overcrank this, because it could, due to the thin edges here, it could break. I think this was an afterthought, and it's not very well designed. If I was to make this for the knife, I would definitely only use G10, because plastic, 3D printed plastic, cannot be as strong as this type of knife would require, and you can very easily damage it. So let me tighten this and show you another flaw. And by the way, I'm just getting the little cons and negatives out of the way. I'm not bashing the knife. I am very, very impressed by the knife and the design, ergonomics, and everything. So this is just my take on what you should order if you place an order for this knife. So as you can see here, I've bolted down, cranked down as much as I guess this should be tightened down. They do tell you not to over tighten it to avoid breaking the plastic. Thing is, regardless of how much you tighten this, it moves. You see that? It is, I guess, a design flaw. It shouldn't be doing that. You can't really use this in batoning tasks, because again, it would crack and break most likely. But the other thing is, I cannot say that this makes the handle more ergonomic or more comfortable. It doesn't, because this usually should be contoured to accommodate the shape of your finger going around, and it doesn't do that. It is very boxy. It cannot do that because of the screw placement. So I think this is an afterthought and not necessarily done well. So my straight up advice is just don't spend your money on this accessory. I didn't really find this necessary in use. I wasn't lacking a bolster when I was using the knife. So let's set that aside. I do strongly recommend that you get either the cheaper alternative to the wooden scales, which is the G10, or the 3D printed fiberglass reinforced plastic, which is twice as expensive as the G10, but could have the benefit of being slightly lighter. The knife is not a light knife. It is quite heavy, but for the intended purpose and the task that it is used for, this weight actually helps and aids. It's not a knife that you want to take on very long hikes, if you're taking a lot of other gear as well, because it is a rather heavy knife. Another heavy but also very awesome knife that I've reviewed in the past year was the Olive Knives Arbor, and when I took it in my hands, I did notice that this is a weighty knife, and it doesn't hold a candle to the Muthos Homura. This is significantly heavier, but that is explained by the blade stock as well as a thicker scale, etc. They're roughly the same size, as you can see. This texturing, although it does look a bit sharpy and edgy, it is not uncomfortable at all. It has a very, very assuring grip. You get both lateral control, side control, and it's just very well designed, I would say. On the plastic scales, they have sizes in thickness, different sizes, so you can get a thin one, medium, or large would be the widest one. I don't believe they have that on the G10 scales, but on the plastic, the glass reinforced plastic scales. They do offer different sizes, and if I was to take one, if I had an option on the G10, maybe I would get 2 millimeters thinner overall, meaning 1 millimeter less on each side, because this way it is slightly boxy, but again, still very comfortable. And as you can see, my fingers do touch the palm, so they do a full circle. It is a comfortable knife, doesn't get your hand tired. One thing that I did have to modify was when the knife came to me, it had very sharp, just like the spine, these edges everywhere, the exposed steel was sharp. Obviously, I didn't like that, so what I did was I made 2 marks, one here, 3 marks, I guess, one here, and another one here, just to mark where the steel starts to be exposed. And I just took, I think, a 200 grit sandpaper to it, and I knocked off the sharp edges. Another thing that I had to do was these holes also. They were just drilled straight, but they were not countersunk. And so I have a Dremel attachment. Actually, it's a drill attachment, wide stones that are convex. So I ground out to make these holes countersunk. This is actually good that it has upper and lower holes as well, because you can attach lanyard here, you can attach a lanyard here, or you can just do like a finger guard kind of thing that you will just slide your hand into, and the lanyard will be in both holes, just coming across. I don't use lanyards. Luckily, I'm ambidextrous, so if the hand gets tired, I'll just switch the hand. And I just find that in certain scenarios, lanyards can actually carry more risk than benefit. When you see me use the knife on the outdoor shots, I do explain how it works, what the benefits are, and from my personal use, I can attest to the fact that this is a very effective wood splitter. Because of this very sharp spine, it also throws mean sparks and is good for fire steel striking. I don't like using fire steels. I just have a lighter, quicker. But I do prepare kindling. And I don't also do feather sticks, because I believe that's a waste of time and energy. I just scrape the wood with my sharp spine on the knife, and that gives me my more effective feathers, if you would call them, or shavings from the wood. Much thinner, finer, and they catch a spark faster than feathers. Long story short, I do believe this is a very, very good product. Muthos Homura recently came out with a larger version of this, which is Prominence MH-001, and I will definitely request that as well to do a review on it, because I think that is even a better version of this for the same tasks. I do strongly recommend, if you're into camping and firecraft, bushcraft, into the outdoors, and you have a collection of knives, this is a winner, definitely. Oh, I should mention about the steel also. It is high-speed tool steel, and it is claimed to be stainless. I didn't really check the stainless part of it, but it does definitely keep a good edge. They claim an HRC of 60 and above, so it would be probably 60 to 62 max. And as you can see, after all my testing, and I tested it a couple of times, I took some shots, not just one outing, and I have not even stropped the knife. So it does maintain, if you don't hit stones and stuff, for your basic woodwork tasks or food prep, it will maintain a very good edge. So in terms of the pricing, For the US market, you can thank Donald Trump for his tariffs. This knife would be probably 60% of the current price, and that is due to the tariffs. You can get it on Amazon, and it costs in the basic setup, meaning the convex edge will be on the right side, is $340, and the left-hand version is $385. And then I'm not sure that you can add the G10 scales on Amazon. You may need to go to their website to do that. Is the knife worth the price? If you go to the website, if you're ordering, let's say, from Europe or from Asia, it is just below $300. 297 is what the Universal Online Converter converted the Japanese yen to USD. It was $297. So $300, let's say. For $300, you're getting this very nice quality leather sheath and the Muthos Homura MH-001. And I do believe that that is a rather competitive price. They do need to brush up on some things, though. I did contact them. I gave them feedback that the edges were, they would cut you. They were so sharp. And for some reason, none of the other reviewers are mentioning that, even though they did the reviews about a year ago, much earlier than me. So take that as you will. Some people are just after clicks and sales from the commissions, which in this case I'm not even affiliated with Muthos Homura. I requested the knife from them. They were kind enough to send it, and all I'm here to do is to give a recommendation of whether to spend your hard-earned money on this or to avoid it. I cannot say to avoid it, as long as you're okay to sand down, and it literally takes 2 minutes. Just sand down these edges here, and if you can, and if you want to avoid, if you're using lanyards, the edges on these round holes were so sharp that they would cut and flare out the lanyard. So if you're okay to do your countersinking and buffing down the corners, which for me was not a big deal, the knife itself is a tremendous tool for firecraft. So highly recommend it. I will try to get a discount code from Muthos Homura, maybe for the Amazon site as well, maybe only from their website, and it will be in the description below. For now, let's watch the outdoor footage. Testing the Muthos Homura Prominence MH-001 for batoning and feather sticking. You do see this, right? I do have two knives. This is my favorite bushcraft knife, and this is another favorite camp. I don't know, I shouldn't really call this a bushcraft knife. It's a bit too large for that, but this is a Hogue FX-01, which I've heavily modified and done a Kydex sheath for it too. Why I'm comparing this specific one is because it is a very nice wood splitter and the spine is of the same thickness. So if you zoom in, you see that the spines are of the same thickness, even though this is a high saber grind and this is a combination of high saber and a convex. And this knife is significantly thinner, but it is a full convex grind and just a perfection in terms of a bushcraft knife. I have already tested the Muthos Homura. I'll also try to start a fire with a fire steel. The fire steel does not come, but it does give you a loop, fire steel loop, or for an XL size fire steel. I usually don't use fire steels. What I use is my Maratak, in this case titanium peanut lighter, and it's a kerosene lighter, way more reliable. It has an O-ring inside and keeps the fluid, the kerosene inside for months, so it's not like a Zippo that evaporates. I've already been testing the Prominence, the Muthos Homura, and it actually surprised me, pleasantly surprised me, with the capability of wood splitting. As you can see, it is a quite thick blade stock. I will throw in shots of this baton being made with the help of the MH-001. Now let's test out the ProCut saw. I want to make a baton out of this cherry. Very good. Very thin. The teeth are clearly quenched, hardened. And it goes down very deep, very fast. So it is a good saw. It's a pleasant surprise. So basically you can get a saw with its very nice sheath, as well as a very capable knife for firecraft with Muthos Homura. And actually I was able to do a perfect circle around this tree, which is another impressive thing. Saws may veer off when you're trying to do a circumference. Oh, it has a lot of knots, that's why it's going so difficult. And because of the weight, even though this is not a long knife, it bites into the wood quite well. There we go, coming along. So let's start with an early piece. This is oak, wild oak, and there's a sizable knot in the middle. Now this bottom piece is put on snow. We probably have half a foot of snow underneath us, And this snow has been limiting me in content creation for a while now. See, no issues, even though it has a huge knot in the middle. Had a huge knot. Kind of split it away from here. But no issues. Dogs are having fun. There we go. So let's do another piece. This is also oak. Molly, behave yourselves. Please, behave yourselves. Both of you. That's a mother and son. Very strong splitter, as I said. There you go. It pops wood open. In a way, it acts like a well-skilled forester or a woodsman that knows how to split wood. When you hit the axe and do a little twist, this does it mechanically without you having to do the twist because of the combined geometry that it has, flat on one side, rounded or convexed on the other side. And that rounded one wants to do this every time you hit slightly. You don't even feel it in the hand. These G10 scales, I think, are significantly better than the wooden ones. Not only because there's no way of cracking them. This is a very sturdy material, pretty much the best material you can use on a knife handle. But because of this texturing, even without gloves, they're surprisingly comfortable and very sturdy in your hand. Molly. This is wild pear. So let's split wild pear on the white side. I mean, it just, you see what it does? You don't have to go all the way down and struggle with it. It breaks off instantly. From the top, it already gives it such a crack that it splits it open, you see? So, based on my testing so far, the Muthos Homura is probably the best splitter within its size factor. That's also the edge retention on this high-speed steel is rather surprising. I haven't had to strop it or do anything after my testing, and it still held up just like from the factory. Even this thickness doesn't split it open, and that is because there's a knot here. Basically a branch going through. You see, it broke off. Very strong knot. Now let's do a piece of cherry. Full piece. Ooh. Let's do a shorter side. This baton is also made out of cherry, by the way, and it is rather difficult wood to split. Holds up really well. See, another split, but it's still held together. There we go. Nice work. Let's do this piece. We have good leverage here. Yeah, this is difficult wood to split. Now let's break it down to smaller kindling and try to do some feather sticks. And maybe start a fire with a fire steel, because it does have a very sharp spine on both sides. Those of you that have watched my previous videos probably know that I have built an Texas style offset smoker, and this wood I use for smoking pork and brisket, ribs, etc. Pork butt and brisket mostly. Chicken also, and fish, basically. Anything that you put in there comes out its best version out of all the possible ways of preparing meat, I think. Again, I'm trying to break this wood down to prepare some kindling, I guess I should say. Okay, so now let's try making some feather sticks. Well, I think feather sticking is a good skill to know. I don't think it is essential, and especially in a survival situation, I think having the right tools is also as important as knowing how to feather stick. Again, in my previous reviews, I've shown that the sharp spine is not good only to strike a fire rod, but it also does very nice and very thin shavings. So if you can please zoom in. For this you need no skill, so anybody can do that. And those feathers, if you'd call them that, or shavings, are done with the sharp section of the spine. This is much finer than any shaving that you can do, any feathers, and will catch a spark sooner and easier. So, as I said, it takes absolutely no skill. But it does require a nice 90-degree spine. You see that? Now, as for feather sticking, in my testing what I found was that it's equally good on both sides. So this is the convex side pushing off the feathers now. And as you can see, Convex is pretty much the best in feather sticking, so long as it is a sharp convex. But this is marketed as the right hand, because when working with the right hand, the convex is on the outer side. If I switch it to left hand, which they also make left-handed versions where the convex would be on the left side, I find it that it is as easy to do feathers as on the other side. Once you find the cutting edge, it feathers just fine. So it's not like you can only use it with your right hand. That basically denotes the fact that if you get a right-handed one, the convex will be on the right side. You get a left-handed one, it will be on the left side. And again, the other side of the sharp spine, you see, is doing a good job. Making these shavings. You can make a feather stick much faster with a sharp spine than sitting there and whittling away with a cutting edge. Let me demonstrate. It's very, very simple and easy. There we go. We already have something that fire can catch on to. You see that? A bunch of very, very fine shavings. So all that making fire with feather sticks is just YouTube propaganda, I guess I can call it. Okay, so let's set these fine shavings down. That should be enough to catch a spark to demonstrate. So very sharp spines, either side works fine. There we go, we got fire. So that shows us that this knife is a very capable woods knife. I wouldn't really call it a bushcraft knife. I think it is very good at splitting wood. What I mean to say is that it's not a whittling knife, but it starts a fire just fine, as you can see. There we go. Well, we're back. Thank you for staying with us, watching the outdoor footage. I also received from them their Pro Cut series of saws. This is the mini version, and they have a larger version, basically 2 saws. I was very impressed, especially with this small one, at how compact it is. It is made of quality materials. It is heat treated and quenched, and just a very nice little addition to your bug out bag or your camping gear, etc. Comes with a nice nylon sheath, and I will be doing a review of both of the saws. It will be published here soon, so stay tuned. Please give the video a like, share, make sure that you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Take care and behave yourselves. Cheers.